You're watching Hot Walk Academy. My name is Ming Jin Tong. I want to help you master your kitchen. Let's cook. Look at this broccoli with this big, beautiful stem on it. You know what? Cut that off, but save it. I'll show you sometime what to do with this broccoli stem. Don't throw that away. It's a shame. The flesh on the inside of this really is delicious and beautiful. You can slice it thin, marinate it, and save that for later. For now, broccoli is such a wonderful vegetable to use. I'm gonna get rid of that stem there. Here's what we wanna do for broccoli. You don't necessarily need to cut that. What you can do is just break it apart by hand. There's no need to use your knife at this point. And we are gonna get the broccoli down to small enough pieces so that we can actually sear it in the wok. The other thing about broccoli is if you cut through the flour, it kind of makes a big mess. This is why peeling it with your hand prevents those little florets from going everywhere all over your board. When it gets down to that size, again, you can remove the stem, again, save that stem and continue working. This is about the perfect size that we're gonna get all of our broccoli down to. So I'm gonna work quickly here to try to get that done. Again, just breaking it apart by hand. And when it gets down to something a little bit too small, I might actually go through this. Now, I wanna make sure you can see this here. We're gonna go down through the stem, but not through the florets. If I bring my knife down through the florets, it's gonna crumble those little flowers apart all over my board, kind of a mess. From here, you could just peel it, and that again will save it from making a big mess. And every size that I produce, I want it to be roughly the same size, again, for even cooking. One more time here, where I can go through the stem, but not the florets, and break that apart. For these bigger stems, I'm gonna chop that off, and same technique. Here's another technique you can use. You can go down through the stem, and then you know what? You can just peel it apart, just like that. Down through the stem, and peel it apart. I don't wanna break all my florets up. Oh, that's still a little big. If you have pieces, say that are too small, what will happen to those pieces? Those pieces that are too small, if you accidentally cut a piece too small, just throw it right in. Why is that? You can throw in a small piece because what's gonna happen in that small piece is it's actually not going to have an inside that's gonna steam cook. The entire piece of the small broccoli or small whatever you're doing, that is actually going to burn. And that wonderful burn is going to provide a char flavor for the rest of the meal. So don't worry about a piece that's too small. Don't make them all too small because you do want to have some of that steam effect. And again, one more example. This one is just a little bit too big for me. I'm actually going to cut that right in half. I don't mind the small burn pieces. We're going to move on next to the garlic. Now, the garlic is very important in our non-leafy vegetable stir fry. And the garlic is what we use to flavor the oil. The step we call 爆香 in Taiwanese cooking. So this is how we're gonna prep it. We are gonna use probably about 3 cloves of garlic, okay? So this is the head. We're gonna just break this right in half and get rid of some of this paper. Again, we'll compost that a little bit later. Get another piece out here. Here's what we want to do. I like to break these garlic apart into the individual cloves. I'm not going to worry about the paper or the stems a little too much. And I'm going to get about 6 of these cloves out here. Okay, what you want to do is take the broad side of your knife and isolate 1 garlic clove. And you just want to gently pat it down and to break it apart. When you do that, what happens is that the paper, the outside separates very easily, and that's about the right size there. So again, just give it a pat. You don't need to do it too hard. If you do it too hard, your garlic, especially if it's fresh, is going to kind of splatter everywhere. You don't necessarily want to do that. And here we go. We're going to peel each one. Again, just grab it from the front. And that peels off super nicely. And this garlic, yes, you can definitely eat it. However, and I hope this doesn't make you sad, we sometimes don't actually eat the garlic that we use to flavor our oil. But I'll leave that up to you. You can do what you like. Now, for sizing, it's also very important to make sure that your garlic is the right size. So this is the size of the garlic that I have right now. And it's smashed, which means the inside, especially the juice, is exposed. And that's a really good thing. We want that. However, keep in mind, the bottom of your wok, where your oil is only going to be so full of oil. And in order to make sure you have maximum contact between the hot oil and the garlic, I want to make sure that that garlic is actually flat enough. So I'm just going to give it another pat just to make sure that when it's at the bottom of my wok, it's actually sitting firmly in the oil and not above the oil. Okay, that's about good. Let's go ahead and put that into our prep bowl. And we are ready to head over to the stove to stir fry these veggies. Low heat, oil for movement, for cooking, and for vapor. We'll put the rest of our raw garlic in. We're gonna let that sizzle. Let the fragrance of the garlic come out of that oil. Now, here's something tricky with broccoli. Sometimes you think, I gotta add more oil, because as soon as I put the broccoli in, all the oil disappears and it just makes a lot of smoke. The oil is inside the florets like a sponge. Don't worry, it will come back out. Do not add more oil. You need to trust yourself with the amount of oil you put in the first time. You don't want to make your broccoli overly oily, okay? Let's move that around a little bit, get the other side. We got a real nice browning there of our garlic. And I can smell that amazing fragrance. Let's go ahead and remove the garlic. And you know what? I keep forgetting the garlic. This is how I'm gonna make myself remember. I'll put it in. I'll put it in right now to my broccoli. That way we won't forget to add it. Okay, let's check the temperature. Temperature is reading 650 degrees. Let's let that get all the way to 700. All right. I had a reading of 730 degrees. We are ready to go on that. So here we go. Again, our broccoli. And this time, because my garlic, I don't want it to burn, I'm gonna toss it a few times. Okay, here we go. All right, a little bit of salt. And glove on for the heat. And I think I said before, it's very tempting to think, oh man, look at how dry that is. I don't have enough oil in there. The oil, like a sponge, has gone into the broccoli. It will come back out, don't worry, don't add more. Broccoli, especially broccoli, is a little bit more difficult, where you need to be tossing it and letting it sit, and it takes a little bit more time. The asparagus and the Brussels cooked relatively quickly. The broccoli is going to take a little bit more time to cook. Be patient, keep it at the high heat, let it sit, move it around, it's all okay. Give it a toss. And let it rest. All that smokiness is going to be imparted into our broccoli. It's going to give it a great flavor. You'll actually notice how incredibly resilient broccoli is. Broccoli doesn't burn too quickly. It's just a great vegetable for doing a wok sear. Oh, lost a piece, happens all the time. Don't worry about it. You can see the pieces of the garlic here that are starting to burn. That's okay. One other trick you could do if you want is, if you don't want to take this long stir frying your broccoli, what you can do is you can add some water and cover it, and it will actually cook a lot faster. That water will help to cook the inside of the broccoli. I don't want to do that. You can eat raw broccoli. It won't hurt you. It's actually quite delicious. I don't mind having the very inside pieces of my broccoli a little bit raw. You might actually like it that way. A little raw inside and nice and burned on the outside is just delicious. And again, all the time we spent making the pieces of the broccoli even, I can actually see I have some big pieces, some small pieces. I should have done a little bit better job on that. The more even you have it, the better it'll toss and the more evenly it will cook. All right, so look, some of that garlic is really burning now. We want to keep it moving. Maybe you don't want to add that much garlic like I did in this particular cook. All right, that is about done. Let's go ahead and put that on the plate. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you learned something. And again, this is not for your entertainment. Let's cook together. Invest in a wok. These are very cheap tools, and begin to understand how to cook these items at home. We want to get that information, that knowledge embedded in our hands, that tossing rhythm embedded in our arms, so we are cooking instinctively. Thanks so much.